2, 3, 4. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Swift Guitar Lessons for another by request song tutorial. Today I'm going to break down Eric Clapton's version to the blues classic Sweet Home Chicago. This is a fantastic song for beginners to learn because it reveals techniques that you can use for thousands of different songs. We're going to work on your rhythm. I'm going to teach you how to shuffle over a 12-bar blues in the key of E. I'll show you some of Eric Clapton's lead guitar tricks and also how to solo over this progression. I got all the tabs available for you as usual at patreon.com/swiftlessons to help you with your study. Now, let's get started. Okay, close look at the fretboard and also my pick in hand, getting started with Sweet Home Chicago, the Eric Clapton version. We're going to begin by learning how to play the rhythm section. Basically what's going on here is two different variations of the 12-bar blues in the key of E. The first one is kind of considered the universal basic 12-bar, and it's a progression that every beginner or aspiring blues player should learn because you can use it to play thousands of different songs. So, the chords we're going to be needing: an E7, an A7, and a B7. Okay, this is a 1-4-5 progression in the key of E. That means if you looked at the E major scale and you found the first, fourth, and fifth notes of that scale, they would be E, A, and B. They're converted to chordal form to create this bluesy progression. Okay, so here's how it's going to flow. We're going to have the E7 chord for 16 beats, the A7 for 8, the E7 for 8, the B7 for 4, the A7 for 4, and then we're on to the E7 chord. We're going to do 6 beats there, and on the last two, we're going to throw in a B7 chord to let our audience know that everything is starting over again. So, 16, 8, 8, 4, 4, 6, 2. Okay, now that you have the basic chord progression down, let's learn how to shuffle through that 12-bar blues in E. Take your E7 chord, and we're going to reduce it down to just a power chord. That B note on the 2nd fret, we'll take our pointer finger and place it there, and couple it with the low E string, chugging along with a palm mute, okay? My palm is right here by the saddle, by the bridge, to get that nice chuggy sound, okay, very bluesy. Once you have that rhythm down, add in the 4th fret of the A string. Just like that. 16 beats on the E7. Once you have that, we'll move down to the A. This is Blues 101. Okay, so for the A, we have the A and the D string. Same exact technique, just down a string. And back. Okay, so now we have that very common shuffle down for the E and the A chord. Now let's learn how we're going to treat the B7 chord. I'm going to pre-frame this. There really isn't any set technique here. You could shuffle it with a power chord shape, but you gotta have some pretty big mitts for that. It's a bit of a stretch. And it's not something that you'll see Clapton doing in this particular version. Instead, we'll roll up to the B7 chord, little walk up there, do a little bit of arpeggiation, and a couple of strums as filler. Coming out of the E chord, it will sound like this. Alright, and that gets us into the A shuffle. So basically what I did is, I shuffled on my E, and then right there, I stopped on the ring finger, open A string, first fret, second fret walks us up to the B7 chord, then I'll pluck the D, the G, the B, and fill in the rest of the measure with a few strums. Okay, taking a look at that 12 bar with the shuffle, so far we have 16 on E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A. This is 8 beats. And we're back. Now moving on, we have 4 beats of A. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're back to the E for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we throw in the B7 chord. A lot of times you hit the A string first. Before strumming that B7 chord, or you could walk up to it. So that was a little walk. 1, 2, and an upstroke on the B7 chord, and then everything starts over again. Alright, so there you have it. That's the basic 12-bar blues, and it's what is being played underneath of the intro, and then also whenever there's some jamming going on. So it's very common. In a blues tune where the chord progression might be a little bit more complicated than the average blues song, when the solos come in, it's very common for the band to simplify the progression to that basic 12-bar blues. Okay, so with all that in mind, let's take a look at the slightly more advanced version of that progression. It's what's being played over top of the verse, and it has just an extra change in it. Very simple, okay? So, instead of having 16 beats on the E, we're going to do 4, 1, 2, 3, and then throw in the A. Back to the E, to finish up that original 16 beats. And it's the same from here on out. A. And we're back to E. Alright, the B. The A shuffle. And the E. B7 comes back in, and you're ready to start back over again. Come on, change, baby, don't you want to go? Alright, you can hear where the progression's gonna go. Come on, baby, don't you want to? You can hear that resolve, right? Goes back to the 1 chord. Go. Back to the same old place, sweet home Chicago. Alright, and that's how we play through the verse. Okay, now that we have our basic rhythm techniques down, let's take a look at the lead guitar possibilities. We're going to take a look at Clapton's intro lick. We're going to take a look at his patented lick that he uses to set up the turnaround. And the very common basic turnaround. for those final changes in the 12 bar. Okay, so Clapton's intro lick. Very, very cool phrase here. The perfect phrase for any aspiring kind of beginner level blues player to practice because it has a lot of common techniques being used in it. It's going to sound like this. Starting here on the 7th fret of the G string, we're going to hammer up to the 9th fret. Little vibrato, then repeat the hammer and go back to the 7th fret G string. So far we have 2, 3, 4. All right, next we're going to grab the D string, 9th fret, and slide down to the 7th fret. For the beginners out there, the trick there is lots of pressure. We need lots of pressure as we slide back. Okay, so far we have 2, 3, 4. Next we're going to go to the D string 5th fret. Bend it slightly, just flex the finger before going to the A string 7th fret. That's an E note, and it's going to resolve right on the E chord. Okay? So, slide, bend, vibrato, 7th fret, A string. So, all in all, the E is still hanging. Then when the A chord comes back in, and back to the E. Then the B7 chord comes in, through the A chord and back to the E. Okay, now if you're a beginner, that's all you need to play. That sounds awesome. But if you're a little bit more advanced, you might throw in a couple of the licks that you'll see, great players like Eric Clapton or, Buddy Guy, players like that throw in kind of in between. It's very common that after that phrase, you'll throw in a couple of licks. So one of the ones I like very much is to take the 2nd fret G string, middle finger, slide up a whole step, and grab the 3rd fret B string. Let those two notes ring past each other with lots of vibrato. And I would love for you to practice using the pick and the finger to get a little snap on that B string. You might slide down. Okay, these are all pentatonic licks. All right, another lick that I might like to throw in after that phrase right there is a little lick that people call the train whistle lick or the railroad lick. That's when we take the 7th fret high E string and the 8th fret B string. We're going to bend that B string up 3 times and then resolve on the 7th fret of the G string. That's an E note. Just like that. Okay, so if you're a beginner blueser, stick with those intro licks. If you're a little more advanced, throw in some extra licks in between. And if you're a little more advanced still, then tackle Eric Clapton's setup for the turnaround, okay? The turnaround section of the progression is that last section where it's E for 6 and the B for 2. That's where you'll hear that from the lead guitar player. So this turnaround lick is going to sound like this. Okay, you'll see him play it in various different ways. Lots of different ways to do it, but I'm going to show it to you like that, using the open string. Okay, so we're going to have the 4th fret G string sliding up to the 6th fret. Do not voice the 4th fret, just slide right away. Then we're going to bounce back and forth between G and B. So we're going 6th fret G, 5th fret B. Just like that. All right, next we're going to walk chromatically down the high E string. 7, 6, 5, 3, All right, so we skipped the 4th fret there, went straight to the 3rd fret. So far we have. Okay, so I'm bending up on that high E string. Then the open E string. Or I could play the 5th fret B string if I wanted some vibrato there. All right, and if you have that down, next, as a lead guitar player, your job would be to hit the turnaround. Okay, lots of different ways to cut this up, but the basic approach is to slide up to that 4th fret from the 2nd fret. High E string, G string, repeat that a fret down, repeat that a fret down again, and then hammer open G and hammer down on the 1st fret. Now we know how to already walk up that B7 chord. For the basic turnaround. All right, if you're interested in more turnaround licks, you can click through this link right here and take a look at a lesson just devoted to turnarounds. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this lesson so far. How to shuffle over 2 variations of your 12-bar blues in E, how to set up Eric Clapton's intro lick, a couple of ideas for some fills, his setup for the turnaround itself. Practice jamming along with my intro to get those things down. Now, let's take one more step further. What to do if you're called on to take a solo. You're not going to freak out. You're going to play some very basic positions. At this point, I'd like for you to click through the link right here. Head over to my patreon.com/swiftlessons page, where if you support the channel for just $1 a month, you can get tabs for this lesson, but also a very powerful resource, particularly in my roadmap of the guitar neck. This is a diagram of the neck that shows all the different positions that you could jam in when playing over a blues in the key of E. Very, very powerful. So the first position that I would feature is your pentatonic scale in the open position. All right, you don't need to move from there. If you're a beginner soloist, just jam in that little box there. 03, 02, 02, 02, 03, 03. And if you're a super beginner, just jam on 2 strings, the high E string and the B string. And gun for those open E notes. The audience really wants to hear you resolve. Okay, so hum some lines, try to recreate them. Try to recreate what I'm playing right now. Okay, all that will sound great over top of a 12 bar. If you're a little bit more advanced or you feel like you have that down, you can move into a little tent shape, okay? That's the G string 4th fret, 3rd fret B, 5th fret B, high E string 3, and the 5th fret, high E string, which is the same notes that you're seeing here. But an octave above. So this is called the pentatonic extension. Using my fingers and my pick. 3rd fret high E string. Resolving on the E note, 5th fret B string. Hammer-ons, the same notes that we had up here. For Eric's intro. Okay, harmonizing notes, these are great tools. And for the longest time, I just jammed in that box and that extension. Okay, to come up with some bluesy sounds that way. You can recreate that same shape. Picture a tent or a house shape. Up a whole step. Okay, up 2 frets. That creates a box that we call BB's box. Okay, you know who that's named after, right? If you're a beginner, I would stick to just the G and the B string for that position. Okay, and in that diagram, that roadmap of how to jam in the key of E, you'll find a bunch of other positions that you can practice over time, over the course of several weeks or months, or even years if you're like me, mastering each position individually. All right, everyone, thanks so much for checking out this lesson on Eric Clapton's version to Sweet Home Chicago. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much to my patrons at patreon.com/swiftlessons. I really appreciate your support, and I hope you're enjoying the extra resources. I got many more lessons coming up, so keep checking back. Please subscribe, please share. This is Rob at Swift Guitar Lessons in Philadelphia saying happy picking.